Hello and welcome to Fire in the Belly. Today we have myself, Mighty Pete, and we have Cliodhna Fullen. Good afternoon, or good morning, I should say even.
Good morning, Pete. How are we?
Awesome. Listen, it's been fantastic to have you on. It's been a pleasure. Been looking forward to this. So thank you for coming.
You're very welcome. Looking forward to it.
So tell us, give us a bit of background. I'm going to do a bit of the blind date on you here. As you know, who are you? What are you doing? Where are you from?
Well, my name is Cliodhna Fullen and I am from Carrickmore in County Tyrone. I'm aged 37. I am married to Barry, who I've been with for 20 years. And we have three children, Hannah Marie, Tommy and Rosie. Currently, I am doing a wee bit of motivational life skills mentoring. The classes obviously have been pushed now to all online, which has been a big change for me, but thoroughly enjoying the challenge.
Perfect. So talk to us. What is motivational, life course? I mean, what's that all
Motivational.
about?
Yeah, I know. I get asked that quite a lot. We need certain skills in our life to help us cope with past traumas, to help us cope with living in the present, to have a more positive, optimistic future, right? So we need certain skills. So that's why I kind of defined it towards just life skills. Now, life skills, as some people know it, is like, you know, rewiring a plug, changing a light bulb. I just wanted to inject it more into people's reality that we need certain skills to help us cope because it's not taught in schools. Yes, they have introduced many different strategies and different subjects, but it's still not enough. We have an ever changing society. We are all reared very different because we've all come from very different environments. So we all know that motivation is short lived. So I like to educate people and train them, teach them how to be their own best motivator and how to inject motivation into your daily routine, I suppose.
Hmm.
So the motivational life skills mentoring, hopefully that makes sense now, but I really struggled with a title for myself because I work with the law of attraction. We do a lot of different, we cover a lot of different topics. So I just felt like that was an appropriate title for me.
Give us an overview then. Law of attraction, because some people will have heard of that, some people won't. Give us a bit of an overview, if you would, please.
The law of attraction was introduced to me when I read The Secret almost 14 years ago. So I would have always, I suppose, considered myself a very positive person. I always was, I always am, and I always see the positive in everything. I just didn't understand that what I was doing was actually a thing. And now that thing has been backed by science. So it kind of makes me feel pretty good. So 14 years ago, when I read The Secret, they talked a lot about the law of attraction. But little did I know until about 8 years ago that the law of attraction is actually a secondary law that we call. So it's teaching people to live in the law of vibration so they can attract things towards them, which is manifesting, to live a greater life, to feel better about themselves. So literally that means it starts with how you're feeling. And it's educating people on that. I use the law of attraction because it's quite a popular term because of The Secret. I don't like to confuse people and throw in the law of vibration, but it's something that I gradually do teach people, that it is the primary law, or feeling, how we feel in this environment, how we are, how we feel around certain people when we're talking about certain topics. And it's just, I suppose, letting people know that your feelings are everything. So if you want to have a better life, you need to do more of what makes you feel good, and you need to really, I suppose, do a lot of inner work.
Oh wow, that's fantastic. So give us a bit of a contrast then. I mean, you're saying there sort of 14 years ago, 23, if I've done the math right, pre sort of The Secret, and then compared to where you are now. I mean, what sort of a contrast are we looking at?
Well, I suppose I was doing a lot of traveling back then. I was very fortunately given the book by my auntie, who was dying of cancer at the time. Now, she was way ahead of her game. She was reading the Tony Robbins book, the Unleash the Giant Within. Is that the title of it? She was reading The Secret, or The Secret had just been launched, and she had got her hands on a copy in America. And unfortunately, her 5-year battle came to a very quick end. And I literally lost what I would have called a second mother. Lived right next door to us. Our families are so, so close. So when she gave me the book, I knew it was something special. I knew it was powerful. And when I started to read it, I started to think, this is me. This is how I think. This is how I am. This is how I've created everything. I literally started my own business when I was 21. I ran a drama and dance school for 13 years. So during that period, over those 13 years, I used the techniques within The Secret. I made movies. I starred in different shows. I wrote plays. I was on TV. I'd done a lot of work with the children. I hosted my own premiere of a film that we had done. And I just knew that the world was my oyster, that there was no limitations, that the only limitations anyone has is in their own mind. So then I suppose I used all of that to get married, have a wedding abroad, which wasn't really a tell off 10 years ago. Well, it would have been popular, but trying to break that to mommy and daddy was a bit of a, a fun challenge. Thankfully, they supported us and we had the most magical wedding abroad. And then I had my first child. But then something that I had been carrying with me from childhood, which I'll not go into, literally creeped up on me. And I would have carried a lot of fear. And after I had Hannah Marie, I think she was 3.5 months old, I got very sick. I got very, very ill, and I was admitted to the Royal Victoria Hospital for 6 weeks. And it was a journey. It was a life-changing journey. It was something I would not wish on my worst enemy. I had a lot of treatment. I had a lot of ups and downs, highs and lows, but I kept, literally Bob Proctor was in my head every single day. He talked a lot about the dis-ease within your body. And I used to talk, like this to the doctors who thought I was absolutely off my rocker. And there was one neurologist, really, she was a lady doctor, I can't remember her name. She really understood where I was coming from. And she says, can I understand where you're going? Your mind is so powerful. Never underestimate stress. Something has happened. You need to work on that. And I remember working on that. And she says, I tell you what, you leave the medicine side to us and you do the rest. So I got mummy to leave me in earphones and I listened to nice reprogramming tapes throughout the night on YouTube. Signal wasn't too great back then, so it was hit and miss. I listened to nice soothing music and I done a lot of reflection and I done a lot of eternal healing is the only way I can explain it. I came home, pumped up on medication, 4 times the size I am now. I had a lot of family and friends support, which was great. But then within another 4 months, I was back in the Royal. So it was 2013 was a very trying, tricky year because I had to hand over my business. We did struggle financially. I struggled being a mother. I didn't know how to look after this little thing anymore. And she was active and she had no routine because she was shipped from house to house. So when I look back over the past 20 odd years of when I was, I suppose, introduced to The Secret, it has been a roller coaster, but I wouldn't change it for the world. I wouldn't, because that is where all my growth happened. Those lows is where Cliodhna realized who she was, what life was about and where she wanted to go and what she wanted to achieve. And yeah, it's been interesting.
That's interesting. You just referred to yourself in the third person. It's interesting. The whole language, but anyway, I'll not get too stuck into that just yet. Awesome. I mean, well, first of all, thank you for sharing that. And really, what does fire in the belly mean to you then? What does the concept sort of stand out for you?
Your gut instinct. When you get that fire in the belly, like we need to reflect back to when we were 16 and you spotted the boy or the girl of your dreams, or somebody gave you attention and you were, you didn't think you were worthy of it because you had zits on your face or you didn't know what life was about or who you were. It's going back to that inner butterfly feeling, going back to that inner butterfly excitement that we get when something exciting's happening in our life, or somebody's giving us attention, or I don't know, whatever it may be. Fire in the belly is that passion, is that drive. In my opinion, that's kind of my version of it. But it's when I bring it to my terms of my work, what I teach, it would be your gut instinct, your intuitive factor.
Is that something you have?
I do believe so, yeah. So I'm told.
I love it. And I love that you're saying, you talk about your passion and your drive there. That's something there. Is that something that's just, is that an automatic response, or is it something you have to work on yourself?
I think it's an automatic response. I don't think a lot. The way you have overthinkers and you have literally non-thinkers. I'm that. Didn't help me going through school, or where I struggled going through Queen's, in Belfast and college and all of that. But I don't really think that much. I really act on how I feel in certain places when I go to the shop, and when I've left somebody's company, or with a certain group of friends or relatives or clients or whoever it may be. I'm more, yeah, I'd be more that type of person.
Oh wow, it's interesting. So talk to us briefly about mini Cliodhna, Cliodhna. What were you looking at as when you were a young, small person?
I was very active, hyperactive, very talkative, didn't listen very well, and sang and danced to my heart was content. I was a very, very happy, lively child, and I was obsessed with being a mummy from age 5. So much so, my primary one teacher, still to this day, Mrs. McCann, tells the story to everybody that I delivered a doll on top of a table, and I was 5, and I showed where the doll came from. Now, mommy and daddy were traumatized because how did she know this? There wasn't that many TV shows back then. They couldn't figure it out for the life of them, and I just always knew. So I think that always kind of kept me going as a child, that someday I'm going to be this mommy. I was the girl who just didn't care. Like, when I do look back, there was certain elements of my childhood which were quite tough, which many people's are. Um, but I wouldn't change it. You can't go back and change things. You can't go back and walk away from certain people or say certain things. You have to learn to accept it. When you learn to accept certain things that happen, you become more content. And then when you're more content, you can be happy again, and you can go back to that little 7-year-old and have a wee bit of, crack with her and think about the things that you done. Now, one thing that I done that it does make me quite emotional. I spotted this beautiful girl at the back of our bus, and she was our neighbour, and I'd never met her before. And she was sitting beside all my cousins, because where we live, all the relatives are beside us. And I just seen this. What I called her was an angel, and she was only 17, and she had beautiful blonde hair. And I went flying down the bus, through my bag. Now, they all tell the same story, so it has to be right. And I jumped on her knee, and I sat on her knee, and I played with her hair. And she was called Rashi. And I just fell in love with her. Like, it was a wee bit creepy, I'm sure, but I just was so obsessed with her. And she ended up becoming our babysitter. And she literally was like a second mother to me. She was like the mother in role. Daddy worked away a lot. Mummy always went, and hung out with Daddy in Dublin, and they done quite extravagant things, and we had lovely memories of spending summers in Dublin. He was in the construction business industry, and he worked in the gasworks, so we had to go down and see him. So we were quite fortunate. Now, we were in a very wealthy position back then, and Roisin was part of our lives, and she still is. She's married a cousin of mine, and now her children are babysitting my children. And it's, when I think of that gives me a fire in the belly, because she taught me about, you get up every morning and you show up. You get that lipstick on and you hold that head high. You live your life. You don't take a minute for granted. She literally taught me everything that I am today, and I owe so much to her, and she's just like an angel to me. I suppose the only way I can explain her. And I want them to be that for somebody else, because when I think of that inner child, I'm like, good girl, you went and you jumped on her knee, you used your intuitive factor, you felt her amazing presence and energy, and look at the life you have now, not only for what my parents gave me, but what she gave me as well. And she was just this little guardian angel from I was age 7, and now I'm 37.
That's beautiful.
It is.
You used the term the intuitive factor. Can you break that down for us?
Intuitive factor would be your gut instinct, how you are feeling. So we all know that area is a combination of certain organs. And when you hear of people having different difficulties in that area, I always feel there's a wee bit of trauma or stress or a toxic environment, or maybe something that they haven't dealt with, and that's like a blockage. So it's teaching people to really go with their gut, as opposed to what other people are saying. The way people get a wee bit confused, their heart's saying one thing and their head saying another. It's teaching yourself to get it all in alignment, so that it's all thinking and doing the one thing.
Well, that makes a lot of
So
sense. As you say, that's your core intuition, really. And is that back to being, your true self as such? I mean, is that one and the
yeah,
same thing?
it would be. And it's, you need to keep it really simple. So the core of you is deep within. So if we kind of break down through the layers of our skin, our blood, our muscles, our vessels, if you keep going after atoms, we're just energy. There's nothing. It's just space. But deep, deep within the core, if you compare it to the likes of the planet, what's deep in our core of our planet? Fire in the belly.
Love it. Your own brand too. I love it. That's what it's all about. It is. I mean, it's mind blowing, isn't it? Well, I mean, once you start to think about it and go through, and just out of curiosity, what's your earliest conscious memory?
I think I was about two or three, and there was a photographer coming to the house, and I remember that like it was yesterday. um, yeah, I would have a good memory. Once upon a time, I didn't, and then I realized that we all have good memories. We just don't use them. So what you don't use, you'll lose. And I really studied hard under Jim Quick. He is absolutely fantastic. And he trains and teaches you how to use your memory, you know, how to remember people's names, and it's amazing when you go on that journey, there's nothing like it. You're not beating yourself up going, I have the worst memory in the world. I'll never remember that. And how would I remember that? And it was something that I was fascinated with from my time in Irish TV. I struggled back then 5 years ago with remembering people's names that I was interviewing, remembering the questions, remembering where I was in the topic. And then when I left Irish TV, I thought, right, this is something I need to work on. I'm only in my 30s. There's too much going on in here, so I need to rejig it.
Absolutely. So, what was the plan then when you grew up? What did you want to be? I mean, you talked about potentially, being a mummy. That was seemed to be something
Yeah,
at the 5-year-old self. Did that stay on, or what was the plan?
yeah. I've actually accomplished everything I've ever wanted to be. Um, I really did. I went and I done college. I went and I seen the world. I traveled. Met the love of my life. Yeah, we've had a lot of ups and downs in 20 years. When you're 17 and you're like, you're not my boyfriend anymore. And he's like, well, you're not my girlfriend. And it's like, go, 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 go. There was years of that. And then, Barry and I traveled a lot together, which was amazing. Then I opened my own business. And that's what I really wanted to be. That was kind of one of the highs in my life, was opening and being my own drama tutor, or, running a drama and dance school and being the tutor, of the school and traveling about the north with these classes. And then I was like, right, I want to be a director. So I ended up being a director. I directed shows, made movies. And then I became a mummy. So that was another goal. And then the next thing was I got the opportunity to present on Irish TV just at the end of 2013 after my horrific year. And I remember going, well, that's it now. That's it. I've achieved everything, everything I've ever wanted to achieve. I done. And then I thought, well, what else do you want to do? You've always wanted to write columns. You've always wanted to, talk about fashion, interiors. And then that's when I set up the blog on Instagram. And it's like a parenting kind of fashion, interiors, lifestyle type blog. So I'm just sitting here going, now, what else could I do for the crack?
That's mad, isn't it? I'm noticing like a 7-year cycle going on.
Yeah, I am one for cycles. I really am. I truly, truly believe. I actually just got off a call there this morning, and the full conversation was about cycles and knowing your cycle and the difference between a male and female cycle, and then trends and cycles, climate change cycles, the environment cycles, seasonal cycles. There's cycles for everything. And yeah, every 7 years, there be a big change.
I'm saying because what are you, 7 years ago, give or take, you were Irish TV. There was a lot of change, a lot of a lot going on. 7 years prior to that, you were talking about The Secret. Not sure what happened 7 years prior to 23, so that would have put you in at 14 if I done the math right. Yeah, no, 16.
That
Yeah,
Barry?
there you go. So it's kind of going. Maybe this is the moment. This is another big change. Don't know.
Yeah, could be.
Mm.
We're hoping to build our house. We're hoping to build in front of where we're at the minute. That's been my kind of what we would call our seed type goal, and it's the one thing in my life I haven't achieved yet. So that is the one that I am rooting for every day, that I do visualization on, that my vision board is full of it, and it's just been a slow process. But I trust the moment, the divine moment, and not a moment sooner. There's a gestation period for everything, and yeah, that's something to look forward to. So that could be.
Talk to us about that gestation period. I mean, and that's going to be a bit foreign to some people, is it?
I know it probably would be. I suppose it's just when you do this type of work, you're introduced to the laws of the universe. Okay, it's nothing religious or woohoo. It's nothing. It's just something that scientists and different speakers over the past, would you say, 100 years? Maybe not as much. And
Probably longer, actually, maybe, because you look at some of the
maybe,
books, etc.
yeah, and
Some.
they talk about the laws of the universe and the law of vibration, the law of attraction, which some people would be quite familiar with. But then you also have the law of polarity, where opposites attract. You've north and south, you've out, you've in, the tide goes out, the tide goes in, the sun rises, but it also sets. So then there's the law of gestation, where, everything has a gestational period, where, that we have to trust the process, have faith that it has to go through this process to, receive whatever it is that you want to receive. And I suppose that's teaching you just about having faith, seeing it in your head, holding it deep, deep in your heart, and then eventually, you'll get it. And I've always held that quote. Once I heard Bob Proctor saying it 14 years ago, it is the quote I lived by. It is the quote I taught 900 children a week when I was teaching in the drama school. And a lot of them come back to me and say about that: see it in your head, hold it in your heart, you feel it in your heart and you'll hold it in your hand. And the little Penny Thoughts book? Annette Kelly's a good friend of mine. We grew up together, and I've actually got that quote on my birthday on the 22nd of August. And that's actually my quote. And we just wrote the author was unknown, because I have no idea where the where the quote came from, or if it belonged to Bob or what. But yeah, I would be a firm believer in that. So that would be like the law of gestation. It's a tricky one for people to get their head around, because patience is virtue. It's where we get tested the most, isn't it?
Are you a patient person?
I would be. Not when it comes to cleaning, I'll be honest. I end up tidying the toys because they're too slow and they don't do it right, and I like to be that particular. But I would consider myself a very, very patient person. Yeah.
Okay. Are we looking at someone with a bit of OCD here, or are we on the scale?
I probably would, but I've also got quite a relaxed attitude as well. So, a pile of laundry or clothes, I'm just pointing to what you can't see. It doesn't annoy me the way it used to, because I've just learned to relax a wee bit more. But growing up, Mummy and Daddy was quite firm. We had chores to do every morning before we went to school. We had to keep up with the housework as well. And even though back then we had a cleaner, but we still were taught, the rules of the house and respecting the house and your chores. So I think that's now carried in till my married life and this household. So it's sometimes just breathing and going, okay, just because Paw Patrol is not sitting perfectly, just relax, and then just walk away from it. Whereas before, that would have absolutely drove me crazy. So it's learning for me as well.
Yeah, kids and cleaning, they don't quite go hand in hand. They're different standards.
And then they've got too much. They've got too much, and it's our fault. We get it, and Santa brings it. So it's really our fault. But yet we blame the children, because back, growing up, you only had one or two toys. When you had a bike outside, if you were lucky. And now they have a play center outside their rooms, and you're going, don't even need this. Why do I keep doing this? And then I'm scolding them for not keeping it tidy. Sure, who in their right mind? What child knows how to? It's a process, isn't it? That they learn, and you probably don't really learn it until you go to college.
Very true. Very true. Hey, who did you take after, your mother or your father?
I think half and half. Yeah, because a lot of people say, God, you've got so like your father. And then, you know, you hear, God, no, you're like your mommy, you know, and then you're like your Auntie Marion, and then you're Auntie Kathleen. So you kind of get a wee bit of everything. But I think because mommy and daddy are so alike in so many ways, they get on so well. They're like a young couple at heart. I think I'm half and half. Yeah, I'm the third child, so I'm the middle child.
You
A
the
wee bit of
favorite
both.
one?
The favorite. Yeah, well, you said it.
That's it's funny. It's still no matter what age you are, it always still throws up a whole different set of emotions for people. It's like going,
I know, I know, I know.
yeah. But that's the thing. It's interesting. Like, I mean, third child, you know, so middle. You were one of five then total.
Yeah.
And why? How did that sort of feel, being the middle one?
Um, well, I was the loud one. I was the dramatic one. I was the one that needed all the attention, but felt like she wasn't getting any attention. And you know, growing up, they're like, you got every ounce of mommy and daddy, you got every minute of everything, but yet you still wanted more. So I had an older brother and sister and a younger brother and sister, and we're so close. You know, daddy didn't allow any fighting in the house growing up. So if you wanted to, whatever, you went outside and just screamed the frustration of one of them annoying you. And we all lived beside each other, which is good. But okay, yeah, third child, you know, perfect in every way.
I said they were just getting it right at that point, you know. That's what's all. Oh, I love it. I mean, as a child, I mean, you talk about being quite outgoing, but I mean, was that you, or was that attention, or was it a mixture of everything? You know, it's
I'd say it was a mix of everything, and it did drive a lot of people crazy. So I was prone to the odd bullying scenario because I was so loud, I was so happy, I was so outgoing. What people didn't realize, you see, when you went to secondary school, some people were just out of their beds half an hour before they landed at school. I was up for about 2.5 hours. So by the time we got to school, I was buzzing. I was nearly lunchtime, in my opinion. And that did drive a lot of people crazy. So there's been a lot of like conversations in the past, say, 10, 15 years with certain people that, you know, maybe mistreated me, or we didn't get along, or things kind of went a bit rocky, you know. And it's been interesting listening to their perspective. You know, they came from maybe quite unsettled homes. Maybe there was a lot going on, and then they popped into school for escapism, and here was Cliodhna, you know, loud, happy, bubbly. My life, everything was wonderful. And so you can imagine what I was like to be in school with. But I was lucky to have, you know, a good group of girls, and we had our ups and downs like every group does. But yeah,
trying to
it was
work out
interesting.
who
It all
who's your
worked out.
who's your go-to, who were the heartthrobs in those days. I'm trying to remember.
Like pop bands or
Yeah, who's the
Take That, Britney Spears and Spice Girls. They were the people that I would have listened to, like on Atlantic 252. You remember it?
I do.
And recording the songs, wishing that the DJ would stop talking so you could get press and record. I literally just made tapes my full teenage years. I have a collection I have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of tapes. It was music mad. So yeah, that would have been my escapism. The Spice Girls, Take That, Westlife, or not Westlife, Boyzone, and all those groups. I loved pop.
Love it. It's amazing. It's still a big smile ear to ear on the face. You can tell it obviously meant a lot. No, it's so really. And then you met Barry in your late teens, then, if I've done
Yeah,
the maths right, yeah.
Barry was 15 and I was 16. I was, when was it? Yeah,
Young, young.
I was after my 16th birthday, and we started to romance. And you know, like school, you were kind of like we were off and on, up and down. I swear to God, people didn't know where we were half the time. And we really, I suppose, got really serious about it. You know, our early mid 20s, it was like, right, okay, come on, what are we doing here? And yeah, I've been with him since. So
Fantastic.
it's been fun. He's great. He's a great lad. He really is. He's so fun and energetic, and he's so good and kind-hearted, you know, with people. He makes such an effort, and you know, he's very supportive of this work that I do. He's very much into it as well, and knows everything about it, and you know, which is good then for the children. So yeah.
That's it. So talk to us then. You see, seeing The Secret for the first time at 23. I mean, you're saying it sort of made sense to you almost that this was, this is something you'd sort of lived almost in your life anyway.
Yeah, I did. And it was introduced to me shortly after. And I don't like to call it a breakdown. I like to call it a breakthrough. I had such a big release, something that I had been carrying from a very young age, just creeped up with me, and I couldn't deal with it anymore. And the secret really helped me. That, and different people at that time really helped me deal with it, understand it, and just, I suppose, get contentment in my life, go through the forgiveness process, which is so hard, everybody knows. And yeah, because as I said, I would have been, as you can tell from this interview, I talk a lot, I'm energetic, I'm just so passionate about everything I do. But most importantly, I am so happy to be alive. That is really the core thing with me, because I know what it's like to nearly have your life taken off you. I know how much I wanted to be a mommy, and then it nearly was taken from me, and I was only 3 months into it. And it was like, no, not yet. I can't, please. This is what I've lived for. I've wanted this. And I screamed at the doctors. I was hooked to machines going, please, make sure I don't die. I've wanted to be a mom. I take everything else. Just don't take this, And I think when you experience such deep trauma like that, the secret came into play. Like, it literally just helped heal Cliodhna. It helped work on the inner child, do the forgiveness, and but it took a while. It did. And it's something like, I have this book. I don't know where it is at the minute, but I have this book with me every day, and I will open it at least every week or a couple of times a week. And sometimes I just need that bit of inspiration or guidance, or just to be reminded about something, and the secret will just fire back at me. So yeah, it's my Bible.
I mean, it is so powerful, as you say, when there's we all get tough spots in our lives, and it is that time. I mean, I quite the expression which seems to come up a lot for me is, from great overwhelm comes great change, and that can be a really, it's interesting you sort of rephrasing there, breakdown or breakthrough. There's that's a time of great overwhelm, right? And some people come out of it and bounce out in different ways. Is that mindset, or is that the core, or what do you think?
Bit of both. Mindset, obviously the mind is the master and the body is the servant. So if the master is okay, if you've got the mindset right, however you've got it right, through positive affirmations, through reprogramming of the subconscious mind, through CBT, through counseling, whatever it may be, it's something that's going to work differently for everyone. Mine obviously was the secret. So I think it is more mindset, that I choose to look for the positives in every negative situation. So it is tough, because when people are grieving, when people have been given a diagnosis, or when people's children are sick, because I've been there with Hannah Marie, we had a rush to the hospital with her with pneumonia, and her oxygen levels dropped really quick, and it was very traumatic. And I thought, oh my God, really? Not again. When are we going to get a break? I'm only 2 years into being a mommy, and this has been fired at me again. And I think I just live. Do you know what I actually think mine is? Just had a moment of realization. Gratitude. I live in an absolute state of gratitude every day, because I know what it's like to have no food in the cupboards. I know what it's like to not be able to afford to pay the bills. I know what it's like to nearly have lost a child. I know what it's like to nearly lose your life. I know what it's like. I do. I've experienced so much in my short 37 years. I've experienced, like, there's a book there I could imagine, but I've experienced so much in 37 years that I'm just so grateful that I can open my eyes in the morning and I'm not lying in the Royal Victoria Hospital. I'm so grateful I can look over and I don't care who's in my bed. We have musical beds at night. There could be 5 in the bed at one stage, and I don't know where bar it could end up. But I don't care, because they're there and they're with me and they're alive and they're healthy and they're well. And to me, oh God, that's everything, because I've seen how hard it can be. We've done charity work for Malawi. We get sent the photographs when the container arrives. We do that a couple of times a year with Daddy, and we see the little orphans wearing our clothes, and you get such, I don't know, I just get these images in my head of how bad it can be for some people. So you should be so grateful where you're at right now. You know what I mean? So I think it's gratitude is my secret, as opposed to the head, the gut. I think it's just more a state of gratitude. Yeah.
But where does that come from though? Because I mean that would come across almost like as a symptom, not necessarily a cause as such.
I can't go into it, but it did stem from something in my life, but I chose to turn that really traumatic thing into a positive thing because it taught me so much about me, and it taught me so much about life, and it taught me so much why people are the way they are. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know where
super
it came
powerful,
from.
because that's what
Yeah,
that's the sort of not the mystery, but the curiosity I have with this process, with Fire in the Belly. It's how is it that, it's a bit like Master Chef or something like that. Everyone gets potentially the same ingredients on the table, and yet everyone will come up with a completely different dish. Some will go super adventurous, some will burn it, some will, it's
yeah.
like, it's that spice of life, really, isn't it? It's down, and I'm curious to know what decides what we do with ourselves.
I think mine came from my childhood, my programming years. I was very fortunate to have very good parents. So we witnessed a lot of love and felt a lot of love. Daddy was very strict. He'll not make me say this, but everybody knows Daddy was firm with us. There was a very little TV in our house. We were always active every evening. Gaelic football, Irish dancing, music lessons, youth club. And you went and you helped them at the Irish dance, and you went and you helped at the youth club. You volunteered. You worked a lot around home. You worked for everything you got. So what I like to teach people is your programming years are so instrumental. Your first 7 years, your subconscious mind is literally wide open. So whatever you endure, whatever you go through, however you feel, which is the most important thing, however you feel during those years will determine the human that you're going to be. So I think I was very fortunate to be fed the proper ingredients by really loving, strong people. People say, God, you're this, you're that, you're strong, you're this. And I'm like, I am the result of what was, poured onto me from what they give me. That's all I am. Yes, I was the happy child, the bubbly one, but I think you are surrounded, if our kids, our youth are surrounded by the right people, whether it be in school, youth centres, or wherever it is, if they are being poured the right love and information, and I think that's really where it does stem from with me. One of the lucky ones. Yes, went through a lot, but I couldn't sail through this life not having anything.
No, sometimes you gotta sort of see the dark to see the light too. It's that contrast that gives us that level of appreciation.
Yeah.
It's sometimes, yeah, exactly, you appreciate something more when you don't have it.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
Yeah, and that year 2013, when we had very little and we did struggle and we were too proud to ask for help, I will never take, every time I go to the shop or the delivery man pulls up, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so grateful that I can afford these groceries. I'm so grateful that I can go out shopping. And before, it was always like 2013 and struggling on to 2014. Maybe it did seep a wee bit into 2015. There were so many days which you were just like, oh, I wish I could do this. I wish I could go here. Like, I was blogging at the time and I couldn't put anything up in the blog because I had nothing to show. And I remember thinking, I wish I could go and buy a new outfit and I could promote this and I could do that. And so I know what it's like to have everything growing up. We were given everything and more. And then I know what it's like to have absolutely nothing. And then I know what it's like to wish for it and all of that. So now that I have it, you're so grateful. You're just, I don't know, you're just living in a constant state of gratitude.
That's powerful. And I'm struck at how, it's such a sort of relatively young age, for you setting up the business, and for, that's to have a drama school. I mean, that takes vision, that takes confidence, or I don't know, what you tell me, what does it take?
I don't know what, I was crazy. I remember somebody saying, you need to get an accountant. And I was like, what's that? Like I was in college going, like loving life. But I had a great accountant and a great support around me. To me, it was just fun. But I had to educate myself in child protection, and I had to do all the first aid courses and all of that. But I suppose I had a good support. But when I think about it, like how young I was, 20. I 20. I think the idea originated when I was about 19, and there was a big need for it in the parish. So I just went for it. I loved it. Loved it.
And that is powerful in itself. The fact that, to have the confidence to do that and the support around you just to sort of fulfill your dreams. I mean, that's almost people who are a bit older, they're kind of going, I wish I had that. I don't know what it is. Is it the fact that you don't know any better? So you say, well, why not just do it?
Yeah, I don't know. I know it's going to sound quite cliche, but it is the fire in the belly. What drives you? What do you want to do? And I remember, do you know Aidan Brown that used to present on UTV, the news in the evening? He was my tutor at college at Belfast Tech. And I remember him choosing my name, and he called it Act to Act, Drama and Dance School. Over the years, it changed then to Cliodhna Academy. And I remember him looking at me going, are you sure you want to do this? And I went, yeah, why not? Like, there's nothing else for the children, why would I not? And he went, there you go, you've just answered it. So if ever you start to doubt yourself, you think about what I just asked you. And I thought, wow, that's good, that's powerful. So I was glad I done it. It was, look, it's like anything, it had its highs and lows. Not every student loved me, not every mommy loved me. It's just the way it went. I'm one person, they're another. But it taught me so much about children, and how unique they are. And now all those kids I taught all those years ago are all adults. Some of them have children. Some of them are getting married. And you're like, ah. So that has taught me how precious time is, because how fast it's went. That only seemed like a couple of years ago, and now they're all growing up, and now you're like one of them babysits for me, and it's like, it's crazy how quick time goes. They were once upon a time a wee 5-year-old who used to jump over in my knee and, want to go for a wee walk around the room or whatever. And you were just like their wee mommy for that hour. And now they're 20 something, and it's just time goes too fast. So I don't want to waste a minute of it. I suppose that's my outlook in life. Is my grandparents always said things like, enjoy it, it goes so fast. And when you're 15 and 16 going, what do you mean? No, it doesn't. It's taken forever to get me to 15. Like, I just want to be 18, and then I want to be able to drive, and then you want to be 21, and then before you know it, you're like, okay, I'm done now. That went too fast.
It is so true. You get to the first stage of your life, you want to sort of whisk it through, and then the rest of the life, you want to slow it down. So
yeah, that's it. That's it.
What I mean, you've mentioned a number of people, but I mean, in terms of heroes or inspirational people, I mean, who really stands out in your life?
That's a good question, and I can never just pin it down to one. But I mentioned Roisin, Roisin McGurk, our babysitter. I've mentioned my parents, my siblings, my Irish dancing teacher, God rest his soul, Seamus Kerrigan, taught us so much about life and manners and respect and dedication and commitment. And my other teachers, other dancing teachers, Mary, and there's so many. I was so blessed. I had a music teacher called Arthur Kearney. He would have been Felix Kearney's brother, the great musician, and just great mentors with the football. I think when you come from a really close-knit community, it's like any community, it has its highs and lows, and it has its, tough moments and good moments. But when you live in such a close-knit community like ours, you have to just be so grateful for the support from your football mentors to your local school, like even the priests, like our local priest and our local reverend, they're good crack. You can have good fun with them. They know you. We actually made a video celebrating our parish. So there's 3 places. There's Carrickmore, Lochmacrory and Creggan. And we made a music video. I directed it. There was a group of us kind of created it, and we involved every business, every sport, we involved the two priests and the reverend, and they done a wee dance for it. And it's now in a time capsule to be opened in 2066 or something. And I think sometimes you just have to realize how lucky you are. You know, how somebody would give just anything to have a quarter of my life, you know, and I choose to appreciate that as opposed to going, but what, you know, not focus on what you don't have. So all those mentors, all those people that I had growing up have inspired me in so many different ways, from my English teachers to my maths teachers, old principals. You know, there's just, I could not pinpoint one because they all done a certain job, if you know what I mean. Like they've all helped in so many different ways. There's just no way I could pinpoint one. Do you know what I mean?
That makes sense. I mean, what you know, what would you be saying to your mini self if you were able to go back and have a wee chat with her?
Do you know what? I've had this conversation with myself so many times, and the same conversation just reoccurs, is that just keep going. You know, you're okay. You're a bit hyper. You're a bit noisy. You're not a good listener. You live in your imagination. You know, you struggled to concentrate. Yes, but I don't know. I just smile when I think of my inner child now. There was a once upon a time in my life I didn't. So my early 20s, I didn't, and there was a lot of healing to be done and a lot of work to be done. But now I smile with pride because everything she imagined in her head as she stared out the window in school, she created and she lived. So I have to thank her and say, keeping that, you know, and I'll say to parents, you know, don't get your children, don't scold them for daydreaming. Don't get them out of their imagination because that's where the magic happens. You know, and yeah, my grades weren't too great. Yeah, I'm sure I drove teachers crazy, but I'm glad I had teachers who brought the best out in me and just went, you know what, it's okay. Don't you worry about that wee test, or don't you push. You know, they were really understanding. But yeah, because I literally lived in a bubble. You know that saying that you come up the river in a bubble? That's just what happened, Cliodhna. So that's the conversations I have with myself, is just, you know, it's a bit of fun.
Mm. What sort of, is there any moments that stand out where you're sort of super proud of yourself and you know, proud of what's happened around you?
Yeah, and now you're going to think this is absolutely ridiculous, but I was a great wee Irish dancer, but I always came second. And anytime I won, it was because the girl competing with me wasn't at the fish, right? So you were so delighted when you didn't see her beautiful face coming because you knew you had a chance of winning, right? But it was coming up to my last year competing. I was 16 or 17, and I thought, oh, it's my last year to get on the podium. I'd never gotten on a podium before. And if you don't know what a podium is, it's like first place, second, third, fourth, fifth, whatever. And I worked so hard. My Irish dancing was my life. I worked at it every day and I was good at it. And I got second. And everybody, like even the girl who won, who I know very well, she just looked down going, I'm so happy for you. You know, because everybody was standing up and roaring and cheering because everybody knew what it meant for me to get on the podium. And it was probably one of my greatest moments. I'm wearing a lovely purple dress and a wee wig that I loved. I know people don't like the wigs. My hair didn't curl, so wearing a wig made me feel good. And yeah, so getting second place. And there you go. It's like that picture you see online. Sometimes it's not, you know, the person who wins. I came second and I felt like I had just won the world. And this was only the West Tyrone Feis. So it was only, you know, confined to Tyrone dancers. And I'd come second and thought that I just won £1,000,000. So that would probably be one of the moments. You know what, Cliodhna? You can do anything you put your mind to. You mightn't always just achieve top marks. You mightn't achieve first place, but don't focus on being the top and don't focus on winning all the time. Just focus on doing what you can and, you know, going for that. There was second place and nothing has come close to it since. Even stuff I have won, you know, the New Inspire Awards. I've won different awards throughout the years. I won an award up in Belfast from Queen's and different things. And nothing has come close to that, winning second place on the West Tyrone Feis. So it just shows you, doesn't it?
It's amazing. Well, as you say, it's monumental, but obviously very, means a lot to you. It's a lot there.
Yeah.
Talk to us about the presenting and then your blogging work. What was behind that?
Well, the TV presenting came probably when it should have came. So it was about end of 2013, start of 2014, and I was starting to heal, and my body was going back to what it should have been doing. And I had taken a good year off, and I got offered this job opportunity of presenting in the Tyrone. I was going to say the Tyrone Rose. I was her too, but Tyrone TV or Tyrone County Matters on Irish TV, the presenter of it. So I had to do like the research, and I had to look into every area of Tyrone, all communities, all different walks of life, and present a show for it every week. So I worked alongside my uncle, Declan Grimes, who is a videographer, and him and I just had the best years. Great crack, challenging at times. He had a lot to put up with me because my memory wasn't too good. And I just used to get so excited for things, and he'd say, "That's not gonna work." And I'd be like, "Okay." So I did learn a lot about letting go and understanding other people's perception. And just because it was fabulous in my head didn't mean it was fabulous. So I met a lot of amazing people, a lot of celebrities, and it was a dream come true. That's just, I know that sounds cheesy, but it was a dream come true. Standing with a microphone, talking in front of a camera was incredible, and I was so blessed to get that opportunity. I then kind of linked the blog to it when I was off on maternity leave. So I had to go off on maternity leave to have my second child, which I was told I would never have. I was told I wasn't really supposed to have any more children, and I did. against the odds. And then I went off maternity leave and thought, what am I going to do to keep my mind active? I'm a worker. I need to be creative. And yes, I might have 2 children soon, but then I decided to start the blog because I felt there was a need for an online influence to the youth in this area. So I literally started off with 200 followers and, put stuff out all the time. And then it just gradually started to grow. And I love doing it. I don't put a lot of, I suppose, effort into it the way certain people do, but I put in what I think people need to hear. So I love it.
Is that
like Carrie Bradshaw?
Like I say, is that is that like a form of journaling as well? Do you think, and so quite therapeutic?
And the TV presenting. So what I've kind of done there is I've added in the writing, and I've added in the presenting and the talking and being creative. And then just, yeah, as I said, Carrie Bradshaw, she's my idol from Sex and the City. So yeah, that's what I've kind of put all together and put it into the blog, which I started 6 years and coming in March. So almost 6 years ago I'm doing that.
Fair play to you. Yeah, it's it is amazing. I mean, where's your flow state? When you're working or doing it, is it behind the camera, in front of the camera, or what's your?
I'm pretty good at that area because I can talk. I know about angles. I know about editing. I love creating content like videos. So I think all of it really, in front and behind, because I was fascinated with both. The work that goes on behind the scenes, the production side, and then I also love being in front of the camera because I'm confident. So yeah, a bit of both.
And is that when you talk? I mean, but it's not visual language. I can't quite place it, but it's factual. It's visualization language, if I put it that way. I mean, can you see what's going to happen? Are you sort of intuitive that way? Have you sort of seen it in your mind before it happens?
Yeah, that would be the only thought process I would put into anything. I suppose if I sat and maybe done a wee bit more work on that area that you're struggling to define me or whatever, but I think that would give me a sore head. So I choose not to. I just choose to be more free, because I think when you're free from your thoughts and you're free from whatever pain you've carried or whatever you go through, it's an easier life, so that you're not obsessed with the media, you're not obsessed with politics, you're not obsessed with your work environment, you're not obsessed with everybody else's life but your own. So I think it's turning all that obsession into yourself to grow yourself to the best version that you could be. You know what I mean? So visualization, yeah. I'll wake up in the morning and I will visualize how I want the day to go. And if it does not go accordingly, if somebody has woken up with 15 different personalities and they don't know what mood they're in, i.e. my first daughter, and then I will jump back into bed and go, I'm going to do this again. Jump out of bed again. We're going to bring on this day on a better note. And I think it's just knowing the power you've got. I think that's what I feel like I'm a power station. I know the power that I've got and that we as human beings can have. I just had to learn that for myself. It wasn't really, it was taught in certain areas, but not the way that it should be taught, the way that I teach people now.
Do you recognize your daughter when she's got multiple personalities?
Yes. But it's the third that I'm worried about because she is crazy. And I'm thinking, oh God, there we go. I'm rearing myself. So this is going to be fun. And I do have to ring mummy and say, right, talk me through this. So how did you cope with me when I was like this? And then, and different things. And it's fun. But we're all very close. My wee boy is, I will call, and he's so like cuddly and everything. And it's just lovely. But he reminds me of my brother. But everybody, I suppose, would say that the Waynes are like me in so many ways. But then I think my eldest is so like her daddy. She thinks. I didn't think. Her and her daddy think. They're very, they're very in tune. They're very smart. They'll think about it. They'll get a few outcomes, and then they'll decide on what they're going to do. So, yeah, they're good fun.
Talk to us then about, obviously the blogging continues but really where you're up to today. I mean, and the coaching and the mentoring, talk to us about that.
I suppose I am at the stage of what's next. I really am. I've been doing the mentoring now for 4 years, over 4 years, nearly 5, the blogging. And I always like to change it up. I'm not saying I'm walking away from all of it. No way. I'll still continue what I love doing and helping people. But I'm ready for a new challenge. What that is, I don't know yet. I might get the house built first and then embrace, into whatever's next. I just don't know what else. When you've accomplished everything you want to accomplish, you're kind of going, darn, am I going to have to start picking things now? Just for the sake of doing it. But I don't know. I am at the stage I'm wondering, what can I further in? What can I do? Because I know my purpose. I know it very well. And I want to be able to help other people. I know I'm not going to help everybody. But yeah, I'm just intrigued to know. Because I don't even know yet. I haven't figured that part out yet. But you don't have to figure out anything. Sometimes you just have to go with the flow and just see where it leads you.
What's your superpower?
Talking. The only thing I got an A star in school, talking and listening. My superpower, I think, helping people realize who they are. Yeah. Helping people realize who they are. Yeah, I think that's what I hear a lot. And I know I have that gift. I know it doesn't matter if you're a man or woman or whatever age you are, I will make you realize. And sometimes you tell people things and they've forgotten about it, or if I've sent something and they're a bit like, how do you know that? Were you talking to such and such? Were you did it? And you're like, no, just I could feel it, I could sense it, me guide them through it. And so I think that would be my superpower. Just wish I could fly.
Where would you fly to?
Just anywhere. I just dream about flying all the time. I've always wanted to fly, and my son said it to me the other day, wouldn't it be lovely if you could fly? And don't start, Tommy. I've dreamt about this. Like, I just fly. Like, in my dreams, I don't really dream about anything, but then the nights I do dream, I'm just flying all around the world. Oh, it's really weird.
As yourself, as a bird, or what?
No, just me being able to fly. Um, yeah, so maybe was I a bird in a past life? I don't know. It's I don't know. That's just something I always often think about. It's just something I can't do, and it annoys me that I can't do it. Do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like I'm pretty good at manifesting and achieving things. I just can't get that one. So leave it with me.
In terms of, I mean, spirituality, religious, spiritually, spiritual. I mean, where do you put yourself?
Would be very, very spiritual, I'm a Catholic, I'm a practicing Catholic. I go to mass, I pray, but I also look deeper, I go further, I go deeper into the history, I go into the science, I go into I'm that child that always asks why, but why, but why? And that leads you down many rabbit holes, that leads you down tunnels that you never knew existed. So I would have a very strong faith. I would got challenged at times when I was sick, but I kept it strong, and I still have it.
Hmm. And is it something you practice with your kids as well? I mean, do you sort of
Yeah,
actively,
we do.
it's
Yeah, Hannah Marie is a very religious wee thing. So yeah, we would pour it onto the children as well. They're very aware, and then I want to give them their own opinions and options, and I just don't answer everything for them, because who's to say my answer's right? So I'll often just say, what do you think? What do you think? And give them the religious aspect and give them the science aspect and let them determine their own answer.
hmm.
So
It's like being a good coach or a good mentor. It's letting them find out for themselves, right?
yeah, so it's like, obviously in the Catholic religion, Adam and Eve were the first people on the planet. So Hannah Marie's like, but hold on, how did they get here? I don't get this, mommy. Who put them here? And you're like, God. And then you go through that, and then you're like, you know what? Here's the science of it. So I was showing them a video, totally against my religion, but I just wanted to show them the science of it and how the Earth was formed. And it was really funny. During time there was a lot of volcanoes on the planet, and it looked like the symbol that they were using for the coronavirus. So my son shouts out one day, "Look, mommy, it's a coronavirus. Look, it's a coronavirus." And I was going, oh my God, it did look like it. It was round and it had all these wee loopholes sticking out of it. And I says, yeah, there you go. It was once a virus and then it disappeared. Um, so I do like to show them both aspects. It was something that was shown to me, and I don't want to be telling them how they have to think. I want to just let them have that option, which was given to me, and let them have their own faith, whatever way that'll be, or whatever faith or whatever journey or path they go down to. I let them make that decision.
Makes a lot of sense. What's your core values?
Respect was something, I suppose, and it started with your bedroom. You tidied your bed and you didn't leave. That you didn't leave that bedroom till your bedroom was tidied. Your bed was tidied. I suppose respect, loyalty, trust, forgiveness, all, I suppose, the common ones. But respect would be a massive value. It means a lot to me. And I think it has a knock-on effect. It pours onto every area of your life. So if you can respect yourself, you're going to have respectable relationships. You will respect people no matter if they're for Trump or Biden. You will respect just everybody and just allow them to have that opinion or that view. Yeah, so I would suppose I would say respect.
I'm curious. You've used all the different languages. You talked
Have I?
about, you talked about you would, me, master, used you, me, I, all the senses there, which is quite curious.
What does that mean? You tell me.
It could be anything, sometimes I think maybe if it's an inherited value sometimes, which is not to say take it away, but quite often if it's important to people we know, it's sort of when someone says you will do something, or you meant something. Well, that quite often that's because it's a replay. Someone said, you should look after this, or you should do this. Well, then we replay it back out again. I don't know. It's no, just my love of language, or just the words. I think can be quite interesting.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yes, you know what? It's just all my programming years. You were, honest to God, I just wish I had recorded it all. That kind of way. The things that we were taught, and even discipline. Discipline was a massive thing in our upbringing. And if you want to look at a negative, I can't leave an empty plate of food. And like, I'm trying to explain this to my trainer. I'm like, I can't do it because I wasn't allowed to do it growing up. I had to eat the vegetables, whether you like them or not. All you would have heard was half the world starving, and you're not going to eat your potatoes or whatever. There was a lot of discipline in the house. So I don't know. It's just, discipline, core values, respect, all of them things. Yeah. Which I'm grateful for now. I did cry a lot about it when Daddy didn't let me go to a disco, or if you weren't allowed to do something, or if you didn't get those pair of trainers and you knew that he could afford them, but he just didn't give them to you because you had to work for them. You had all of that to grow through. And I know that's poured on to me now, that there's only one iPad in the house now because I have to learn to share. And Hannah Marie had to wait. She was nearly 8 to get an iPad. But I had to get it because of school, all the online work. But I suppose I don't want to be handing, yourself as a parent, you don't want to be handing them everything. And yes, it is nice to visualize it and get it, because she did visualize getting an iPad. But you do want to teach them about, respect and not working hard for things, but working for things and earning things. Earning would be the big one. Not working hard, earning it. If I give you this, what are you going to give me back? Not me as a person, but the world, or society.
No, it makes a lot of sense. As you say, it's all give and take, really.
Yeah.
What are you capable of?
Shapers, everything. Like, I put my mind to something. Like, I train myself to do the splits. And it's like, when I put my mind to something, I am capable of I don't know. I'm trying to think of what I can't do.
I'll fly for one. Not yet.
I can't fly yet. I will find a way. We will figure that part out. But I don't know. I suppose I know my strengths, and I'm very aware of my weaknesses. So I focus on the strengths. So I know that what I put my mind to, I can achieve. So this is a really strange fact about me. I struggled to say certain words growing up. And it took me years to be able to train myself to say those words. And I remember going, wow, you done this yourself. You trained this yourself. Nobody taught you how to do it. The art of repetition. I practiced it and practiced it. So I suppose we're capable of anything if we truly believe it. Like, I couldn't say the word specific. I couldn't say that. And I had to train myself how to say it. It's really strange, just the wee challenges. Like, they're really rare challenges that be sent me. Nothing's normal or straightforward. It have to be like a word as specific. Like, it's so random, but we got there.
It's mad, isn't it?
Yeah.
So do you do visioneering then? I mean, are you one for visualization and sort of vision boarding and things like that?
I am. I do live in my imagination quite a lot. I know I created everything. What you create in your mind first, obviously you can manifest if you're in the vibration of it. So I don't want to be using too much of like confusing terminology, but in our line of work, we talk about the power of their higher mental faculties, and one of that is imagination, and then getting into the vibration that you already have it, so you can tap into a frequency to achieve it, right? So I do fully understand that, but growing up, I wouldn't have known that's what it was. I just thought my imagination was wild. So I have a vision board, and every time then I achieve something, when I get it, I replace it with something else, because a lot of people don't realize this. You can hold all of your images up here, but they will get confused, and a lot of interference can happen there with your thoughts of, I'll never get that. how would I get that? I'll never achieve that. So it's very important to get what's in your mind out so your visual eye can see it. And then that's how you really know what you want. So having the likes of a vision board is lovely, yes, to have, but you need to know the science behind how to achieve everything on your vision board, which is why you need a mentor to guide you through the material. But I think a vision board can be fun for people. And it can be quite life-changing for people as well, because a lot of people, when they start to build their vision board, they start to realize that I forgot that I wanted that, you know, and then they have to go through the work of, I deserve that. Why should everybody else get it and not me? So I would be quite a visual learner, yeah.
Do you enjoy, I take it, do you enjoy the mentoring, you know, and mentoring other people? Do you find it inspirational for yourself as well?
Yeah, you learn a lot about yourself, don't you? You do. You learn a lot about yourself. And you learn a lot about using your intuitive factor, that sometimes, you know, we just have to listen to our gut, but trying to teach that to somebody can be quite challenging. So when you bring them so far and then they finally realize, you're like, you're so proud. But like anything, you know, it has its highs and lows, it has its challenging days, and it has its amazing moments. But it is quite rewarding when you bring somebody who is so low and you bring them to such a high place. It's amazing. It is. And it's fascinating because I'm not sure about you, Pete, but like I have doctors, nurses, scientists, I have other types of therapists taking my course. And it was amazing. Like I was taking an online course, and there was a nurse live from COVID ward, or the canteen of the COVID ward in New York City. And she was like, I'm just popping on here because I want to show you to everybody. And I remember going, oh my God, these people are working on the front line in the middle of a pandemic. And, you know, they were just all coming over and waving and saying hi. And that was so rewarding, that you knew what you were teaching her, she could help spill on to everybody around her. Especially all those families that couldn't be with their loved ones, and all the trauma that was happening or is currently happening. So I suppose it is like anything, it has its highs and lows, but to be able to help the frontline workers, your retail staff, your shop assistants, your teachers, your doctors, your nurses, there's many, many, many frontline workers, you know, your delivery men, the list is endless. To be able to help those people during you're in quite a tricky year. I don't like to look at it as quite a negative thing. I think it has woken a lot of people up to what's important and how important our health is. So we ended last year quite traumatic. I lost my auntie Kathleen, and I remember thinking, oh God, what a year. And then the new year started off pretty okay, and then it just went boom. Okay, we were not ready for this, but nobody was ready for it. How could you be ready for a pandemic? But yeah, I suppose it's all how you look at it. So mentoring does bring you through highs and lows and teaches you a lot about yourself. Yeah.
I mean, are you able to sort of assess yourself? I mean, I know they say the eye can't see itself, but I mean, are you able to sort of sense your own progress, or do you seek out to others as well?
Yeah. Well, my hubby is great for that. He is great for telling me where I need to work on, or maybe I should try this, and maybe you shouldn't do that, and all of that. He's very like good constructive criticism. I've had it my full life, I tell you, and that's why I think I'm quite strong, is because I could cope with a lot of constructive criticism coming from Barry, Mummy, Daddy, everybody you met in the town would tell you what they thought, and you were like, oh, okay. So it really taught you how to take on board other people's opinions and respect them. Doesn't make them right, but it makes them their opinion, and you have to respect it. But I do a lot of self-reflection work, yeah, without a doubt. You know, I'm up with you at 5:15 in the morning and doing different online courses and calls and reflection and stuff, and you learn something new every day. You get a new moment of realization every time you work on yourself, and it's just a pity, you know, this isn't taught in school. We aren't taught self-reflection. We're not taught about forgiveness. We're not taught about, you know, things that we need to be taught. You know, we're taught amazing subjects, don't get me wrong, but I just wish they would add more of this material in to teach people the skills, the motivational life skills that they need to guide them through every area of their life as they grow, because it changes a lot.
Absolutely. And listen, it's a crazy world. I mean, there's change, exactly that. It's this change, and it's your decision how you choose to see it. What I mean, who do you think you can serve best? I mean, you talk about, the motivational life skills, and mentoring people. Who's your go-to? Who can you serve best?
Me? I hope that doesn't sound selfish, but if Cliodhna's cup is full, I have so much more to give. So if I don't get up earlier in the morning and work on me, like I have to be my number one priority. If I'm not okay, like I look at it like I'm the captain of my ship. So if I'm driving this beautiful or sailing this beautiful cruise liner through the Caribbean and a storm hits, I have to make sure I'm in control to be able to sail through it calmly, and that any people that come with their baggage takes it with them. So I can serve me. I can't fix people. I can't jump in. This is why mental health is such a tricky area. We cannot jump in and reprogram or rewire people's thoughts. We can teach them skills through CBT and through the material we teach, how to look at life through a different lens, but we can't go back and reprogram their past. They do, and they do that through subconscious work. We've got such power, but it's the power we have for ourselves first. Fill that up and pour that out onto other people. So I think, who do you serve most? Yourself.
I mean, that's a brilliant answer, because it's so true that people are too busy helping others before themselves. Just, I mean, and there's something you mentioned there before about, is that you can't necessarily change the past per se, but you can change your understanding or your beliefs of the past. That's something you've mentioned there, and I'm just curious if your take on that.
I suppose some of my past experiences, as I've said in this interview, weren't pleasant, right? So Cliodhna can look back on that and say, me as the third person, Cliodhna can look back on that and say, right, that was so traumatic, that was so soul destroying, that was so this, that was horrific. Why me? Why did that happen to me? What did I do to deserve that? I can choose to do that, but I don't want to do that, because that's playing the victim. So I want to be a survivor. So if I feel like I'm a survivor, I can educate other people to be a survivor, as opposed to the term victim. Because then if you're saying you're a victim and you're playing that role of a victim, if you feel like you're a victim, you're handing the power back over to somebody else again. So it's learning to take the power back, learning to forgive people for what they've done and what they've said. Because when you do that, you've taken the power back, and it no longer belongs to them. It belongs to you. So I suppose that's what I mean by that, is just always look at the past as a lesson that you don't want to live in your future.
It is so powerful. I think as anyone who is living in the past, or, stuff that has gone on, because we're, like you say, we all have history of some shape or form, and it's personal to everyone. What's big to someone might be small to someone else, or vice versa. And neither is right and neither is wrong.
Exactly. It's what it means to you.
Do you like yourself? Do you love yourself?
I do. It's taken me a long road to get here, but I do. I wish there was more of me. I really do. I do like who I am. Now, I don't look in the mirror and go, check you out, because there's a lot of humps and bumps, and there's extra weight on there, and there's cellulite, and there's stretch marks, and there's everything, a human could have. But that's just me. That's just who I am. But it's the person inside. I hang out with myself 24/7. I need a liker, because I'm in there. I can't be putting all that power and responsibility onto Barry, onto the children, onto my parents, my family, my friends. That's me going, please make me feel better. You take the power yourself. You have to have the responsibility. You have to take the responsibility yourself. You have to work on the person within first, like them, like he or she, whoever it is. And then you go out to the world. And Will Smith talks a lot about that with Jada on the Facebook Red Table Talk program that they have. It's only on Facebook. And they said that the time that they were going through a really rocky period, he didn't like who he was, she didn't like who she was. So they wanted to go off and find themselves and then present themselves back to themselves again and to each other, and hope that their marriage and their love was strong enough. And they did, and they got through it. And I remember thinking why do we not do that? Why does all the relationships in the world not do that, whether they're married or not, with siblings, with family, with friends, with their children, that go off and do a wee bit of eternal work, and say, just give me this time to work on myself. I have a lot of stuff I need to address, because when you're starting to work on yourself, and I'm sure you feel the same, once you open that can of worms, it can be tough, and things comes out that you forgot about, things that you don't, that smell so bad and that you don't even want to go there, but you have to go there. You have to clean that can of worms out, and you have to get to the bottom. You have to get to the core. You have to get to you and clean your glass and look after yourself and forgive yourself and forgive others, as hard as that is. I know, and I don't say that lightly. I'm not one of these, people who says forgive others. Life would be so much easier. It's hard. I'm not going to say it's not, but it teaches you to take the power back yourself, that they no longer can control you. They no longer have that power over you, that you're free. And I think that forgiveness element in life is in all aspects of every religion, no matter if you're religious or not. It's in every religion. It's one thing I think they can all agree on, is that forgiveness releases the soul. So it's an interesting one, but it's a nice journey I went on to help me like me.
Are you a letter burner? Do you do letter burning? No.
No, I don't. Somebody told me to do that once, and I went, hold on, what's the difference in just writing a letter and burn it out? Just tell it to go away. Or just
whatever works.
I know, and I teach people to do that. Like, I'll say, write it out. Are you a writer? And they're like, yes. They love journaling, whereas I wasn't during my journey. I am now, but I wasn't then. And I had to realize, no, letter burning's not going to be for you, Cliodhna, because you don't like writing. But I did write a few letters to a few people, and it was nice. And it really changed a lot in my life, writing a lot of deep personal letters to people. So, but I don't think I've burned any. I've burned many things. I haven't burned that.
What's a bit of a guilty pleasure for you, or just a pleasure, whichever way you choose to look at it?
Pickled onion monster munch. Swear to God, it is like
your nemesis.
Something. And I know I shouldn't be eating it, and I still buy them in the shop. Unconsciously, I just be like, buy them and think about it later. But yeah, guilty pleasure is crisps. The worst thing you could eat, like.
No,
but anyway.
The most common answer, wine. Well, wine. Generally, chocolate is right up there. Any form of chocolate, most people say.
Mine's crisps and cheese, and everything is bad for you.
What's your go-to on cheese?
What do you call it? I can never pronounce the name. The cranberry one.
Wensleydale?
Yes. What? How do you pronounce it?
Wensleydale.
Wensleydale. That one, and then the one that you cook on the frying pan. My mind's went blank. What's it called?
Halloumi?
Yes. They are my favorites. Halloumi.
That's my running joke. It's like, if my wife's ever cooking it, it's like hello, me. It's like, yeah. What are you doing? It's like, is that hello, me? It's a really bad joke.
No, that's good. I like that one.
Maybe a bit of a memory trigger for you there. I was like,
there's a Jim Quick technique there. Associate a word or a name with something or someone, and you'll always remember it.
That's it. Hello, me.
Hello, me. Hello, me. There you go. Thank you very much for that, Pete. That has been a great interview. See you later.
Everything you wanted to learn. Oh, I love it. I love it. So tell me, what's, like, if you were to summarize your fire in the belly in 1 or 2 words, what would your fire in the belly be?
it's like, it's so cheesy. It's like listening to that song, listen to your heart. Do you know that one? Like, has there ever been any more truer statement? I know that's 3 words. Listen to your heart. That's 4. Um, I was great at maths, as you can tell, and turned everything into a joke. So you can imagine what it was like teaching me. But yeah, fire in the belly, just your gut instinct. You listen to your heart and just trust it. Trust that fire in the belly.
Listen and trust.
Listen and trust. Right, we'll go with them too. Listen and trust. Because trust is a big thing. If trust wasn't taught to you, or if you don't feel like you're in a trusting environment, you don't feel like you can trust the people you're with, it's going to have a knock-on effect in all areas of your life. You're not going to trust yourself going in for that mortgage, or picking the right man or woman, or whatever it may be. It's always going to present itself. So if it's not programmed into your subconscious mind, you got to do the programming.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Tell us, where can people reach out to you, follow you, stalk you, hunt you down?
I'm on all social media platforms, just Cliodhna Fullen on them all, and you'll be able to get me on one of those.
Perfect.
So,
any final messages?
No, I just want to thank you for having me, and I really hope that whoever's listening to this has learned something. And even if you don't want to come to me as a client, if you couldn't afford it, or if you didn't want to do something like this, I'm here to guide people with advice and guide them towards people who they might want to go to. I'm all about that, sharing. There's enough of us here to help everybody. So
thank you so much. I look forward to seeing your journey, and you've so much further to go too. So I thank you for your time. Until the next time.
Thank you so much, Pete. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye bye.